if I wanted to, have my physique look a certain way, I should probably be a little more strict with this. I don't count calories or anything like that. Really, the only macronutrient I follow is on a consistent basis is protein. I try to hit, at least a gram of protein per pound of body weight every single day. And then the only other changes I'll have where if I know I have a hard training day or I have like lifting in the morning, jiu-jitsu in the evening, then, I'm going to make sure to add in extra carbs to make up for that, extra workload. And then on a day that I'm resting, maybe I'll scale back the carbs a little bit, but I don't have like a number in my head. I just kind of eyeball those things while keeping the protein high. And so far, it seems to be working pretty good for my performance. Everything seems to still be progressing very well.
Yeah, and I asked that because I just started back again the RP Renaissance Periodization Dieting app. This week was my first week back on it, but the last time that I used it was during that COVID period, and I was really strict with it. And kind of my personal problem is I'm very like all or nothing. So if I have this app that's telling me what to eat, I'm like, I have to hit everything to a T, or I'm just not doing it at all, and I'll eat by feel, which is how I've trained most of my life, is just exactly what you just described.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the protein that I know I need, a gram per pound of body weight, and then like everything else is pretty much just like I know what kind of carb foods are. So if before a big training day, I'll just eat breads or pasta or rice or something like that. And I know what's kind of fatty, so and I just go by feel a lot, like you said. With the app, I'm trying this time around to find that balance, and it's going to be tough for me of like generally following it, and making sure I get the protein and like doing the meal timing. But if I go out and eat and go way off my macros, it's going to be okay, and I just start it back the next day. So yeah, I was curious, kind of your thoughts. It sounds like we are very similar as far as the way we've handled that throughout our life.
I feel like most powerlifters you encounter are going to be that way, just because we're not in a physique sport. So how we look doesn't matter, as as long as your performance on the mat, or the platform is there. Then hey, if you ate 5 Big Macs from McDonald's the night before, but hit a squat PR, that's still a win in powerlifting.
Yeah, that's true. And what's that?
I said bloat be damned.
Yeah, you got to fill out the belt, bro.
That's right.
Get those optimal leverages. No, I was definitely, I was a proponent of the basically eat whatever to fit the calories. For the first, I stopped being like that in 2020 because I had a health issue. So the first 6 years or so of my powerlifting competing career. And then in 2020, I had a blood pressure issue, kind of a long story, but I had this weird incident where, to this day, it's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. I was fully dyslexic after a training session, this heavy squats, and I got home and I had this pattern, like I would get optical migraines, where they kind of like blur your vision on the sides occasionally. Well, it started like that, and then I looked at my phone and just all the words, like the letters were jumbled. I was like, oh, this is weird. And I distinctly remember I spent, and this is not an exaggeration, it was over 30 minutes trying to type a text to my girlfriend and say, my vision's all messed up. But because everything was jumbled, I couldn't hit the right letters on the keyboard.
Oh no.
So like I couldn't get the words out, and eventually I called my mom and I was like slurring my words, which all of this is like classic signs of a stroke, I swear. But
Someone burning
uh,
toast here.
right, yeah, yeah. Oh, good lord, yeah. But I, long story short, after about 45 minutes, it just like subsided, like an optical migraine would have, and I was totally fine. But I went and I got a CAT scan and an MRI just to like check my brain out. And the only thing they could come up with was like, oh, your blood pressure's a little high. And it was probably around like 149 over 90, uh, which in the grand scheme of things, compared to some people with high blood pressure, it's not the worst. But with the heavy lifting, I think it just like took something already high and shot it up to a probably not good level.
Probably in that moment of training, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so it was in that moment I kind of had that switch and I was like, wait a second, because they prescribed me with blood pressure medication. And I was like, no, 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 I'm 23. Like, I'm not going to do blood pressure meds. I'll just fix my diet. And that's why I decided to go on the RP app. And um, I don't know if it was like evident to you all at the time, or I'm sure I talked about it, but I ate the same meal 6 times a day every day we trained at Bob's Power Gym. It was turkey, rice, spinach, and the Cheez-Its, the Cheez-It grooves.
The cheese and grooves. The secret.
Yeah, it's the
That was the
best.
secret.
The
Any-
most
Anyone,
anabolic Cheez-Its.
for anyone out there watching, that's an insider tip right there.
Yes. Not sponsored, by the way. Cheez-Its, if you're listening, you can throw something our way.
Hit us up.
Yeah, but so that was personally where I pivoted. And then after lockdowns were over, that like really rigid eating 6 times a day just wasn't viable for
Mhm.
me. So I like relaxed out. My blood pressure did go back to normal levels. So like even to this day, I sit around like 120 over 80, which I know that 80 is a little bit higher, but generally pretty good. And I haven't had those issues. And I never took the blood pressure meds. So I guess high five for that. But yeah, but I went back to relax, but I didn't go back to eating as poorly as I had been. My meals at school were kept pretty consistent at like canned chicken or tuna with like saltines or something like that, which is a lot better than a Big Mac, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is when you are eating more intrinsically, as long as you're getting most of your calories from quality whole food sources, I think you're going to be okay. You don't have to be super strict as long as like you're eating rice and potatoes over like a lot of like bread or other like refined carbs, things like that. As long as like you keep what you're putting into your body consistent and clean, you're probably going to have a successful time eating intrinsically.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm one of those people I could eat the same thing every meal, like every day of my life and be okay. Um, Natalie, my girlfriend, does not go for that. So I basically just say, all right, you have autonomy to have one different meal, dinners throughout the week. I'm like, okay, we'll switch it up, and either of us will make dinner, and it's fine. But if it were up to me, I'd eat chicken and rice every day, I think.
Hey man, all reliable.
Yep, can't go wrong, right? But I'm not gonna keep you too much longer.